Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Text number 27. Thank you. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is kind of going a bit slow, but I'll see here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there's actually 71 verses in this chapter. It's quite long. So now we're on text 27. Okay. So I'll keep trying to connect here. But until then, Vaikarikat. Would you try also, Prabhu? Vaikurna Vanat. It's, you go ahead and try. Manaha Tattvam Ajayata Yat. You have to change your Wi-Fi. Sankalpa Vikalpabhyam. Should be good now. It's, I'm not sure, whichever one you wear on right now. Vartate Kama Sambhavaha. So this is Canto 3, Chapter 27, text number 27. Pardon me. I think this is it 26? 26 chapter, 27th verse. Okay, we got it. Okay, so now the verse. Vaikarikad vikurvanan manastattvam ajayata yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam vartate kama sambhavaha. Vaikarikad vikurvanan manastattvam ajayata yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam vartate kama sambhavaha. Vaikarikad vikurvanan manastattvam ajayata vartate
Vaikarikavikurvanam
Vaikarikavikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Vartate kama sambhava
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vaikarikadvikurvanam
Vaikarikavikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Vartate kama sambhava
Vartate kama sambhavaha Vaikarikavikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vaikarikavikurvanam
Vaikarikavikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vaikarikadvikurvanam
Vaikarikavikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vaikarakavikurvayam
Vaikarvikurvanam
Manastavan ayajata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yasankalpa vikalpayam
Sankalpa vikalpabhyam
Bhattate kama savambhava
Vartate kama sambhava
Vaikarikadvikurvanam
Vaikarikavikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vartate kama sambhava
Vaikarikadvikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Vartate kama sambhava
Vartate kama sambhavaha Online
Vaikarikadvikurvanan
Vaikarikadvikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vaikarikadvikurvanan
Vaikarikadvikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vaikarikadvikurvanan
Vaikarikadvikurvanam
Manastatvam ajayata
Manastatvam ajayata
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Yatsankalpa vikalpabhyam
Vartate kama sambhavaha
Vartate kama sambhavaha Okay. Vaikarikat
from the false ego of goodness.
from the false ego.
Vikurvanat undergoing transformation. Manaha, the mind. Tattvam, principle. Ajayata, evolved. Yat, whose. Sankalpa, thoughts. Vikalpabhyam, and by reflections. Vartate, happens. Kama sambhava, the rise of desire. Translation. From the false ego of goodness, another transformation takes place. From this evolves the mind, whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire. Purport. The symptoms of the mind are determination and rejection, which are due to different kinds of desires. We desire that which is favorable to our sense gratification, and we reject that which is not favorable to sense gratification. The material mind is not fixed, but the very same mind can be fixed when engaged in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, as long as the mind is on the material platform, it is hovering, and all this rejection and acceptance is asat, temporary. It is stated that he whose mind is not fixed in Krishna consciousness must hover between acceptance and rejection. However advanced a man is in academic qualifications, as long as he is not fixed in Krishna consciousness, he will simply accept and reject, and will never be able to fix his mind on a particular subject matter. Vaikādikād vikurvānān manastattvam ajayata sat yat sankalpa vikalpābhyam vartate kama sambhavaha. From the false ego of goodness, another transformation takes place. From this evolves the mind, whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for being here. If anybody would like to add a comment, then please let us know, or a question, by raising your hand. So, Prabhupada begins by describing the mind. So, thoughts and reflections. Sankalpa means thoughts. And vikalpabhyam, and by reflections. And Prabhupada describes this means the symptoms of the mind are determination and rejection, which are due to different kinds of desires. So we know from Bhagavad Gita that when we begin to meditate on something, dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangas teshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama krodho vijayate. So we actually begin to meditate on something, and then we become attached to it. And that attachment, sangat, the sun word, is the same root here as the sankalpa. So sangat sanjayate kama. So from that connection, from that sangha, or from that association with the material objects, then comes kama, or lust, which develops. So this word kama sambhava, so this is actually the nature of the mind, is to become attached, to ponder different things and switch from thing to thing. And in the material consciousness, our mind is hovering, our material mind, which is actually a burden to the living entity is actually our worst enemy, which Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because the silly material mind is always jumping from material sense objects for pleasure of the senses. So we have a real mind. That real mind is actually interested to simply accept whatever is favorable for Krishna. And our materialistic mind is like described in the scriptures like a type of a drunken monkey which has been bitten by a scorpion. So he's very disturbed at all times, and we have to train him. So some say that the mind can be trained, and some say the mind cannot be trained, and the mind has to be ignored. Some describe how the mind can be prayed to, the mind can be negotiated with. So there's all these different techniques actually which the acharyas give, which basically culminate. Prabhupada describes that the mind should never be trusted. And why is this? Because he has one business, which is to accept what's favorable for sense gratification and reject what's unfavorable or what's not favorable for sense gratification. So, why is this such a bad thing? Well, because sense gratification is my cause of bondage in this material world. Now, one can say sense gratification is required when I'm inside of the body. So how can something which I'm forced to associate with or forced to what I need, how can that be binding to me? That doesn't seem fair. Well, that's actually the position that we're in this material world. Is that we're forced to accept sense gratification, which is actually our cause of bondage. And this is why actually the people, the fallen conditioned souls in this material world, are helplessly spiraling downward and downward into the various species of life. And they're bound for hellish planets because they're forced to accept sense gratification in a world where you're punished for sense gratification. And why is this? Some people, we heard actually a few purports ago at the beginning of this chapter, where Prabhupada was actually describing that this material world is actually the mercy of Krishna. It gives us an opportunity to try to enjoy separately from Him, where at every step we have to suffer in our attempt. We're neither successful in our attempt to enjoy without Him, and neither is it even pleasurable to try to enjoy without Him. Though Krishna is so kind that He gives the living entities a little bit of pleasure in this material world. There's actually a famous poet from Bengal, and he wrote that it's been quoted by the acharyas, the pleasure of this material world is existent, but it's so minuscule, it can be compared to a drop of water in a blazing desert. So, this is actually described in the Bhagavad Gita as well, that the Buddhas, they're not interested to take pleasure in the sources of misery, which are actually some sparshaja bhoga. If I contact my sense perception, my knowledge acquiring senses with the sense objects to associate with them. I experience antavanta ime deha. I experience some flickering pleasure which comes and goes, but the Buddhas, the intelligent, they don't take pleasure in such things because it's actually the source of misery. And we can understand that as soon as I get something which is pleasurable to the mind in a temporary flickering world, it's gone in a flash. Of course, we've been given many classes on such topics, that you get it and then it's gone, right? But why are we still under the control of such a? Why are we still trapped by this process, which we can intellectually, condemn? Right? Here we are intellectually condemning the living entities. I'll say frankly, asinine, cash grab for sense gratification in the material world. Here we are. We can intellectually condemn it, and at the same time be trapped in it. So the idea is that we have to keep on hearing and hearing and hearing. Who do we hear from? We have to hear from those who are the Mahajans. So actually the path of Dharma is actually inside of the heart of the pure devotees. And if you take all the scriptures and you find all this information, it's actually a binna. It's actually inconclusive. Which means that if we do our personal research with stacks and stacks of Vedas and all this knowledge, it will be inclusive. It will be inconclusive for you as a living entity, as a jiva, without contact with the Guru Parampara. That's what's so amazing about Krishna's system, is he says, you got to link up. You have to link up to the system. Then you can become free. And actually it's been described in the previous chapters when we heard about the glories of devotional service. Kapila Dev was actually speaking about the sadhus, and he was actually speaking that as we transfer our attachment to the pure devotees, then our tendency for sense gratification can be curbed. And this is actually confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita by Krishna himself, where he says, Param drishva nivartate, who get a higher taste. So the mission of ISKCON, the mission of the Krishna consciousness movement, is to systematically propagate these literatures which are simply filled with the glories of Krishna. And actually I read a very famous verse from the 25th chapter which can give us solace on this path. It says, Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha tajjoshanad ashvapavarga vartmani Shraddha Ratir Bhakti Anukramishati. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. So this is amazing, that in the association of pure devotees, Satam Prasangan, Krishna gives a very special potency to that Sangha, to that association, by which even a materialist like me, who's completely addicted to sense gratification and giving in to the demands of the mind, right, can feel pleasure in the ear by hearing the qualities of Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna. And what is it that I want? I want pleasure. I want pleasure in my ear, I want pleasure in my eyes, I want pleasure in all of my senses. Because I'm a living entity and I think I'm this body. So this is the amazing quality of Krishna's mercy, is that he gives pleasure to those who are conditioned in a way which they're like, hey, this is nice, I like it. And this is the amazing thing. This is mercy. It says, by cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. So this is how it starts. We have to hear. And that's why this book distribution is so valuable. Because as soon as somebody associates with Srila Prabhupada's Vani, if they associate with this Parampara Vani, right? It's being empowered every step of the way. This Vani is taking more and more mercy, more and more powers coming through the Parampara as we disseminate this knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada, being so thoroughly surrendered to Krishna, how can we see? We can see by the test of Bhaktivinoda Thakur that an Uttama Adhikari is determined by their ability to bring many conditioned living entities to the path of pure Bhakti Yoga. And this is what's amazing about Prabhupada, is that he was strict in the path of Bhakti, personally, in his practice, and also with his disciples. He said, 4 regs. I'm not going to change that just to get some more people in my team. And he used to say, if I charged for my mantras, right, we could be millionaires. But I'm giving for free and nobody's coming. You know? So he doesn't change the principles. He's very strict with those things. At the same time, ready to make room and make space so that people can link up with the authorized hearing process with this Parampara Vani and start the process of being actually pleased, getting actual pleasure for the senses from something which is completely transcendental and actually the cause of liberation rather than bondage. And so that's what's amazing about this movement, is that we're trying to give this opportunity. And what is this opportunity? This opportunity gives them the chance. Now they're not simply like, slaves to their mind. They have an opportunity to choose according to higher intelligence. What does this knowledge do? This knowledge gives me the chance to choose. Before, there's no chance to choose. I'm simply going under the modes of material nature according to my karma. I can't choose. I think I have some minute free will, but actually that minute free will has already been spoiled by my previous sinful activities. And there's a lot of inertia and momentum that's actually carrying me to my next sin. This is actually the trouble with the material world, is that as soon as I sin, then sinful desire seeds are actually sown in the heart. And those desire seeds actually impel me to act again in the sinful way, despite my desire to not even do so. And this is actually discussed by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, that, we have this lust, which is the most great enemy. And where is he situated? He's in the senses. This lust is in the senses. The lust is in the mind, and the lust is in the intelligence. And therefore, actually, we are meant to strengthen our intelligence with this Shastra. We have to strengthen our intelligence with the Guru Vani, with the message of Bhakti. And when we do, then our free will starts to expand minutely. It comes and it goes very fast. Like, say if we are taking rest and we have some service to do, right? Then there may be a time when Krishna gives us awareness and consciousness, and if I capitalize on that moment of awareness and decide, okay, I have to chant, and I shove out of bed, and I go for my services or whatever it is, right? But if I don't, it can slip away for a moment. It can slip away for hours at a time, actually. So this is actually shows that we, even after coming to the path of bhakti, our position is still fragile. We're still teetering on a lotus leaf, like a little bit of jal, a little small bit of water. And therefore we have to be always prayerful and humble, right? Because the mind is so rascal. We have Dushta Mana, an amazing exposition by Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. He wrote like 17 verses which speak about the rascal mind, and how the rascal mind, we were actually speaking about it yesterday, Maya on behalf of Krishna, right? There's nobody else but Krishna in control. So Krishna uses Maya to give us some further lessons and advancement and tests on the path. Why? Because he loves us, because he's kind, because he's compassionate to us. That's why he does it. Not to punish us, right? Not to punish us. He just loves the living entities. And it may be what Prabhupada may call like a tough love sometimes, where we're given trouble, but it's still love. It's still sweetness. It's still compassion. So he gives us some tests in this journey. So back to the intelligence thing and the mind. Maya will come and present herself in such a way that we actually are feeling we're very, very advanced in Krishna consciousness, and just the right tricks just to get us not to associate with the Guru Vani and the purifying processes which have been given by the Parampara. So we may be able to analyze in our own lives how we have fallen to the tricks of the mind, and we have fallen to the demands of the mind. Rupa Goswami describes in Upadeshamrita that we have these urges, and the urges of the mind are to accept and reject. And we have to actually take the process of surrender to Krishna, which it entails accepting what's favorable for Krishna consciousness and rejecting what's unfavorable, which is exactly the opposite to what the materialistic mind wants to do. So this is actually a war against our own lower natures, and actually my own inimical, my own adversity to Krishna and Krishna's supremacy is my worst enemy, and it is actually the only enemy. And if I'm in the proper consciousness, everything and everyone can actually help me to actually destroy that animosity towards Krishna after coming in touch with the Guru Parampara. And that's the mercy of Prabhupada, is he's opened our eyes and he teaches us how to see things properly. He teaches us how to learn and continue in our devotional service on any material circumstance, any single material circumstance. So that's our great fortune. Thank you very much for listening, and Hare Krishna. Would anybody like to add something? Yes, Bhakti Kale, and then Radhastali Mataji.
This is from John Bunn. You spoke about how the conditioned living entities are stuck in a ultimately drives them down by the inertia of their past sinful actions. Since today is Ekadashi, I was wondering if you could speak about how observing Ekadashi helps us break free from that momentum.
Yeah, there's actually an amazing prayer, which is, I'll try to put on the screen. It's called, what is it again? Something about feet, right? Shuddha Bhakata Charan Renu Bhajan Anukula Bhakata Seva Paramasiri Pramalati Karamula Madhavatiti Bhakti Janani Jatane Palana Kori Krishna Basati Boli Parama Adare Bori. So this is the verse, Madhavatiti, the holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami. So these are the titis, these are the dates of Madhava, of the God, of the Lord, of the goddess of fortune. He says, Bhakti Janani, the mother of devotion. So this is Janma Janani, the mother of Bhakti, Bhakti Janani. Yatane Palana Kori, observe with great care, right? With great care I observe the holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, for they are the mother of devotion. And with the greatest reverence and love I choose as my dwelling place the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna. So this prayer is called Shuddha Bhakata Charanrenu. It says that the dust from the lotus feet of the pure devotees gives rise to devotional service, and service to the devotees is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. So Srila Prabhupada is so kind, he's given us this wonderful Ekadashi Vrat. We can practice it very simply by maintaining our initiation vows and also observing fasting from grains and beans and absorption and service of hearing and chanting, as well as whatever other services. And if we do so with great care, then bhakti, right? We will be, such days are the mother of devotion. So we can actually break this cycle. And why? Specifically because we've been instructed by the pure devotees. So this is actually the potency of the devotees' instructions. Is they give instructions and they actually capture the conditioned souls for Krishna. And then by observing those instructions, you actually capture the pure devotee. He gives the instructions and he captures you, right? And then if you actually followed them, then he's actually bound to you. It's said that nobody can actually take service from a subordinate without giving them something in return. So this is the thing, is if we follow the instructions of this pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada and follow Ekadashi, he must actually bless us. So that's what's amazing about this mercy cycle, is that it's all mercy, and it's a different cycle. It's a mercy whirlpool, not this materialistic whirlpool of sin and sense gratification. So thank you for asking that question. All glories to the divine day of Ekadashi. Okay, so today is the Ekadashi Vrat. It's called Nirjal, or Pandava Nirjal Ekadashi. There's actually a Leela where the Pandavas observed Nirjal specifically Bhima, and it was very difficult for him, but he did it to please Krishna. Okay, so thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to some devotees.